Yeah.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Bishy PE Podcast. We've got a first ever MMA fighter, so we're absolutely delighted to have Chris, the bad guy Bungard, joining us. How are you, Chris?
How you doing, guys? All right?
Good to see you, Chris.
It's a pleasure to be on here, as always. You're all looking swell, I must say, man. Better than me anyway.
But I don't know about that. We're also joined by our usual Mr. McHugh. How are we, Mr. McHugh?
Absolutely magnificent. Could have been
Good,
better, but magnificent.
You enjoying being back at work?
Loving it.
And we are delighted to have Mr. Robin back. We missed him.
Missed me last week, boys.
How was that eyebrow appointment you had? They're looking smashing.
Looking good, on point.
Brilliant.
There's some nice eyebrows, bro, man.
I think Grant's going to take us away with the first question.
Yeah, Chris, I'm going to kick us off today. So, could you just firstly kind of tell us a wee bit about your school career? And did you stay on kind of for 4th year or 5th year?
So, I grew up in a wee small village called Holytown. So, primary school was Christ the King, and I went on to secondary school, which was Taylor High School, which is in like New Stevenson. I don't know if you know the area, but so I kind of stayed on to like 5th year and just kind of floated about 6th year. I wasn't really doing much, you know what I mean, because I didn't really know what I wanted to be in life and that yet, but kind of just stayed, I don't know, just to be with my pals and probably the buds, to be fair. But I got all my, like, not that I was the brainiest of it, but I got all my standard grades, that's what they were back at the time, a few hires and that, then left school pretty sharpish right in like my first job, kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What was your kind of favourite subject at school?
I'd probably say like woodwork. Like, I always wanted to be like a joiner. Like, I loved PE, obviously. I loved all the PE classes. I actually really liked trampolining, quite weirdly, you know what I mean?
Brilliant.
But woodwork, computing, I had a good relationship with my computing teacher. My computing teacher was like Mr. Ruddy, and I think when you gel with a teacher, like you focus more, you know what I mean? Like, I like to like carry on a lot, I like to like tell a lot of jokes and stuff like that, but there were certain teachers that kept me in line and I respected, so like they were probably the most fun I had in their classes, because I was properly learning, and they were probably the best grades I got out of the full school.
Chris, what do you think your teacher's opinion of you would be?
I think if you had to tell them all, everybody in that school, that I turned out to be an MMA fighter, they would probably, aye, that's right, that's about right. But I don't know, man, like same with anybody, like, you have your favourites and like have people that teachers you don't like, and because some teachers are like you do hate some teachers, but they're just still doing their job, obviously. But I don't know, I think I've met a few of them at Celtic games and stuff like that, like after a few years later and that, and they're like, aye, that doesn't surprise me one bit, Bungard, that you're in a cage fighting for money.
Right.
Chris, even when you were younger, did you have any part-time jobs then?
No, I did not. Like, I always tried to do like the milk and the paper round and stuff like that, but like the locals at the local shops where I stayed were always full and always had hunters. So I was always in the waiting list, but I never got it because I always wanted like pocket money, kind of. But I just had to rely on my papa giving me my £5 a week.
Mr. McHugh still does that.
My wee granny gives me 10, do you know what I mean? So it's life-changing nowadays. my
mates used to do the milk before school. They were up at like 5:30, and they were loaded, man. They were getting some ton after milk every week. I was heavy jealous because I was skint and poor.
Brilliant.
So could you tell us a wee bit about your journey into MMA, Chris? How did it all kind of start? When did you first go into a gym?
I'll tell you, it was total by accident, really. Me and my friend went down to the Keir Hardie Sports Centre in Holytown, and they were basically taking the mats out, and they were basically cage fighting, but it was obviously mixed martial arts, and we didn't really know anything about it. but it was mostly like grappling and like jiu-jitsu based. And I just came, I got caught the bug for it. Like I was a big pro wrestling fan growing up. Like when I was younger, like I liked like Bret the Hitman Hart. I used to put people in the sharpshooter in school and all that. Like I got suspended a few times for that. But so I liked like the submission side of it. So that's where like my jiu-jitsu came into it. So I just got addicted to it. I just kept showing up every week, and all my mates stopped going. And 10 years later, I'm fighting in like some of the biggest arenas in the world and stuff like that. So it's been a mad 10 years, put it that way.
Yeah, amazing.
Chris, I watched your documentary on BBC iPlayer. Just asked me getting a plug for you, mate.
Aye, they made me look good, didn't they?
One of the things I picked up on it, you dealt with a wee boy there, and it was a lot to do. What you kind of said was about his behaviour, and he spoke about how his behaviour changed. Did you try to find a way to channel your sort of aggression and your kind of behaviour into that, and that's maybe how that came about?
Aye, but I would say like at school it was no secret that I was in a few fights and that, but I would never go looking for fights. So I think when I moved on to mixed martial arts, it gave me a wee bit of discipline, but also like matured me. Like it matured me as a person and gave my life a wee bit of structure that I needed at the time, because like especially where I'm from, like there's easily roads where you can go down with your friends and stuff like that. Like you need to know what one to pick. Really, you need to be sensible, because like one wrong turn here and you can throw your life away at certain things and that. So I thought mixed martial arts gave me proper structure, and it matured me. It gave me a bit of a reality check.
Mm-hmm.
See, just before that, I was just going to ask you about, you were talking about the submission side of it. Did you find it difficult to find gyms that were doing like your jiu-jitsu and stuff like that? Because there's not a lot of coaches, is there, in Scotland?
No, well, so that gym I went to in the Holytown, we just were taking the mats out, and we were kind of renting the hall out. But then when I started fighting through that, like I had no training partners and that. I had nobody showing up to help me prepare for fights and stuff. So I ended up going to like the Scottish Hit Squad, where they were like a more jiu-jitsu based team, and there was like 20, 30 on the mat. So it was like a no-brainer for me, like train myself or train with 30 other guys who are good. And then I ended up becoming the first ever MMA fighter for the Hit Squad, because it was just basically a jiu-jitsu gym at the time, and it's a full mixed martial arts gym with UFC fighters, Bellator fighters, amateurs, and so on. So it's it was definitely, I had to like source out the best coach and like basically more training partners, and especially on the jiu-jitsu side.
Brilliant. Back to me now, boys. Is that right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Just moving on to your professional career, Chris. How would you, if you were to sum it up, how would you say what's your career been like?
A roller coaster. The good thing is about MMA, like the best in the world, like I've got like a few losses as well. You know what I mean? It's not like boxing. You can go to maybe like 20, 30, 40 and 0 before you're really tested. Like anybody can beat anybody. Like a jiu-jitsu guy can beat a striker can beat a wrestler. So there's like some ups and downs for everybody, because nobody's really undefeated. There's like a 2 in the world or something right now. But so I started off well, and then I kind of like I jumped in at the deep end. I went like 5-0, and then I called out like a guy that was like had 20 odd fights and was fighting pro before I even was fighting MMA, and I basically just got out wrestled. So it was quite a learning curve where I had to like kind of certain areas I still had to work in before I took that next level step and that. So it's just learning curves basically. So then obviously I've had a few fight of the years against guys in the UFC and that. And then when I won all the Scottish titles, really, I could win in all the shows in Scotland. Some in England as well, and then I ended up getting signed with Bellator, which is like one of the top 2 biggest promotions in the world. So since then, it's been all going. I had 4 fights last year, and I fought. I was the first Scottish guy to headline a Bellator card in Dublin and stuff like that. So it's been life changing, especially since I joined Bellator. I can actually make a living now. I've bought a house and stuff like that, and I've got a wee bit of comfort. So it's paid off. 10 years of hard work and sacrifices have finally paid off.
Brilliant.
You mentioned obviously a series of fights there. Is there anybody that you've maybe come up against and you've thought he's got my card mark?
Not at the time.
Is it maybe just you're caught in it and you can't do anything about it?
Not at the time, but I don't know, like, it's different. See, when you're in there and maybe you're tired and you're taking shots, but I've never been in the cage with anybody and felt the guy's power or felt the guy's strength and thinking, I'm out my league, I'm out my league here, I'm out this guy's league here. So it's like, nah, not really, but obviously when you do get caught in a submission and you do know you're in it, then obviously you need to tap out, which is the worst thing to do, but it's all part of the game, you know what I mean? That's it. Somebody wins, somebody loses.
Absolutely.
Is there any venues, Chris, that you've fought at that's been like a kind of favourite for you?
I fought in Wembley last year, and I won in Wembley. I suplexed the guy right on his neck, so that was quite satisfying. But I fought in like the Hydro and stuff like that as well. But Manchester Arena a few years back, I think that's like the biggest arena in the UK. Yeah. And I fought a guy that I didn't really like from Scotland as well. So, and I won with quite a fancy submission. So I would say Manchester Arena was my favourite arena.
Chris, how did the name The Bad Guy come about?
Oh, it was just a pest on the football park, really. I play a lot of amateur football and stuff like that. And
Is it the Bullfrog? Is that right? Is that the style?
I played for Bullfrog for a few seasons, but they folded.
Right.
And then my friends and that started a new team called the Bullwood. So I played with them last season, but we're in like the Scottish Cup final. We started to play that, and we're in the West final. We started to play that, so we've got 2 cup finals started to play because of the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
But I love my amateur football. I love playing football still. I love still being on the park, passing the ball about with my mates and that, and I love scoring goals. That's my addiction, I think, scoring goals, else I would have stopped playing. Realistically, I should be playing, as my coach says, I should be stopped, but you know what I mean, it's just something I love doing.
Yeah. How did Bellator? How did they? I take it they don't know about it.
They don't know about it.
They're going to be happy if you get
You're not cut that out, Scotty.
Where did that be, Chris?
Like I've never been, touch wood, I've never been injured playing football, and it's weird because like the plastic pitches I play on every week, because you would think they would do more damage, but the years of wrestling and jiu-jitsu and striking, Muay Thai, boxing is what injures my knees and my elbows, my joints and that, but football's never gave me any injuries, believe it or not.
Brilliant. The highlights of your professional career, Chris, if you pick me a couple.
Probably being the first ever Scottish fighter to be signed, and then the first ever Scottish MMA fighter to headline a major promotion, when I headlined a Dublin card against the former champion. Stuff like that. I got Fight of the Year down in England, one show as well, winning all my titles. Just these things, like, but I don't know, like my debut on Channel 5, like I choked out Fraser, he was like a 2-weight world champion, so these are all things I was underdog in, and then like I beat the guys in the first round, so it's these things are like stuff I can look back at and say, that was actually not too bad.
And what about, has there been times in your career where you've suffered some low points, and how's that, have you kind of responded from that?
Aye, definitely. Like every loss really is a low point. Every bad weight cut you go through, if you're cutting weight, then you need to fight the next day, and you're absolute knackered. You've no energy, no strength in your body, stuff like that. Then you still need to fight. Sometimes end up getting your ass kicked, but stuff like that, like mistakes you make in the fight that you would never make in the gym, then you lose a fight through. So stuff like that can keep me up for nights after a fight. But just like anything else, time heals, and then you get back into the gym and get better and use these mistakes to better your game, and hopefully not do it the next fight, next time you're out.
I'm going to turn into an English teacher, but you actually made a really good quote in the documentary. It's not about the destination, but it's about the journey and the people you share it with.
Yep. Love it.
It was just something that stuck with me. And it was brilliant to hear something so unique.
That's what it's all about. Like, especially like we travel the world. We fight everywhere, and we're in new places, and we're meeting new friends and new people we train with, and even the people that come through your gym. Like, you're sharing this journey with them. They're in the gym with you every day, blood, sweat, and tears. They're cutting weight with you. They're going through it all with you. So it's like the guys I've met through this, like I would never have met in like a normal 9-to-5 job. Like, these guys, we're built different. Like, mixed martial artists, like, not everybody can do this job. That's why not a lot of people do it. So it's like, I think you feel something different when you go through this with your teammates. Like, I don't know, there's like a connection there. It's quite hard to explain if you've never been in that situation. But like, sometimes it's no about the end result. It's about the destination, like, and who's there beside you and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because that stuff you can take to your grave. That's the stuff that money can't buy. That's like, money doesn't really, like, I'm not focused around about money, like trying to make money. As long as I've got a roof over my head, food in my belly, and that's it. I'm happy, man. I don't need these big fancy motors or the big fancy house in the top of the hill. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
as long as I'm happy and my teammates are happy, my family are happy, and I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Good message.
You touched on your weight cuts there. See, just for watching, I was the same as Mr. McHugh. I watched the documentary, and it just looked like an absolute. That looked like the battle. That looked worse than the fight itself. Is that the hard part, and then the fight's the fun bit, if you like?
That's exactly like the weight cut is a fight itself. That's just as important as the fight itself as well. So if you don't do that right, then you've got to pay the following night, because you only get like 24 hours to rehydrate and refuel. A lot of these maybe not know, but like MMA fighters cut weight a lot different than any other sport. They dehydrate themselves for over 24 hours. They take all the carbs and the salt out of their body the full week, so they're depleted. It's horrible just to make that weight, and then obviously when you make the weight, you drink all your water, you get refueled, like you're blown back up. The more weight you can cut, the bigger you are in the cage the next day, basically. So it's for like an advantage. Yeah. So I'm a big guy for a lightweight. Is like 155 pounds. So it can be torture sometimes, but since I really messed it up, I brought a new nutritionist on board, and we're doing it right. We've got the science behind us now. We're doing everything we need to, and now after a weigh-in, I'm drinking what I should, and I feel like $1 million now. So it's hopefully we've turned the corner on that, and long may it continue.
Does that mean you're still going for the Hope baths, aye?
Well,
because that looks like absolute torture.
That is the worst. Some people only need one, and I need like 5 sometimes. So that's going in the 5th bath when you've still got like a kilogram to sweat out you is. It's no good for the mind. But I think that's where I'm the strongest. Is my mindset is basically bulletproof when it comes to cutting weight and fighting, because I'm fazed by nothing. That's because I know I can put my body, my mind through this torture of cutting the weight in the sauna, in the bathtub. I'm like, everything after this is easy then if I can do that. Yeah. But I'm actually got a fight coming up, so I'm cutting a wee bit of weight now. I'm dieting and that, so I've not fought in a while, so I'm actually miss it. So that's a weird thing.
Brilliant.
See, just on your training, Chris, we speak to our kids and like the National 5 classes and the higher classes about training plans. So what's your fight camp like? How many times maybe are you training per day or per week?
So I'll train 2 or 3 times a day, but I rest on a Thursday and a Sunday. But even the days, I'll still probably do something light, like maybe a wee jog or something. Right. But so I'll split it up to like a morning or an afternoon session, then a late night session. So maybe do like hip pads in the morning, and then maybe wrestling or jiu-jitsu at night, or sparring at night, conditioning in the morning, and then like striking at night, stuff like that. So you mix it about. We'll spar a few times a week as well. Plus you're eating healthy obviously every day, and then you're getting your rest and you're sleeping. Your sleep's important, because I used to be up to crazy o'clock every night, and and I was paying for it come training time. I was like a zombie a wee bit, and then when I started taking care of my body properly, getting the right rest and sleep pattern, then my training was coming on tenfold. I was so much more energy, and I was switched on more, and I was more enthusiastic to train. Like, I wasn't sluggish in that.
Interesting.
What would you say your sort of work-life balance is? Obviously, work being your training and your fighting. Where do you find time to do the other things, or do you?
I do. Like, I make sure I get that stuff in. I'm not like a guy like, I'll just do this and that'll be me. Like I travel. Like, I love to travel. I've been to like about 70 countries, like all sorts of mountains. I just love doing something in between. I've got other hobbies like filming and stuff like that. So as long as I get my training sessions in, the rest of the day is up to me what I want to do. You know what I mean? So no, I like staying active. Like, I like learning new stuff as well. Like, I just started kind of learning like new instruments and stuff like that, just to keep the brain sharp as well. And I just don't want to always be focused on fighting, because I just want to keep focused on other things and my mind open a wee bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant.
Chris, you spoke a wee bit about some of the kind of mental aspects of fighting. So we speak to some of the kids about mental factors like anxiety or mental toughness that they need to deal with within any given sport. So see when you're in the cage and you're facing an absolute killer, what's kind of going through your head?
I'm always trying to be calm. Like, usually fight week, I'll start getting a wee bit like, I'm fighting this week, then I'll get to like the day before, and I'll start to get a wee bit of butterflies. But the hardest thing for me is waiting on my guy going out, or me in the cage waiting on my guy coming in, listening to his music or like that, and then like the big screen or getting introduced. But really, I'm just focused on like, what am I good at? What am I got to do? Like, I never think this guy's this good or this guy's got to do this to me. I'm thinking, right, let's switch on here. Let's get focused. You know what you're good at. You know what you've got to do here. Plenty of feet work. Keep working. If you're in the bottom, keep working. Listen to your coaches. Just stuff like that. It's all going through your head. But obviously, there's a million different ways of going through your head right how the fight can finish. So you try to stay positive, but because the wee bits like negativity and like maybe you're viewing yourself, I could get beat here, but what if I lose in this? What if I get submitted? What if I get knocked out? They always creep in, but that's just the way your mind works. Like, everything pops in there, but you just need to stay strong, stay focused, and just stay mentally tough and be prepared. Be prepared for anything. That's what I always say. Be prepared. We train for a war. We prepare for a war in training. This fight's got to be a war. This fight's got to be a war. And I go and think it's got to be a war, and sometimes I finish it in the first couple of minutes. It's a weird game sometimes.
Yeah.
There's somebody I know from the documentary. You travelled over to Dublin. That's quite a regular, regular trip.
Yeah.
How is that sort of something different to your training that helps you can't get here?
Basically, like, I trained at SPG for about 5 years on and off before fights. So I used to go over to train me like McGregor, Connor and stuff like that, McGregor and like John Kavanagh, the coach and stuff. So it was just all it was for was just for different bodies, different styles, different training partners, like tougher sparring and stuff like that. So that was just quite selfish for me, like just to try and get harder rounds kind of. And because when you spar with the same guys in your gym every week, you know what they've got to do, you know what they're good at, what they're bad at.
Yeah.
And it just turns out the same spar, but you're jumping in with McGregor, like, you know what he's got to do still, but like you're still switched on and you're learning as well. And all the grapplers over there and wrestlers and that, so it's a high level over there. There's like 100 on the mat at a time, so it was good. I was going back and forth for like 5 years. I made a lot of good friends and stuff like that, but I've not went there for like a year. I had a wee fight with one of the other fighters, so I just called it a day with that.
Fair enough.
What advice would you have, Chris, for any kind of young aspiring MMA fighters?
I would say take your time with it. Be patient. I would say like kind of shop about gyms. Like, don't go for the first one because it's the closest. Because do your research, shop about, like, see what gyms, how good the coaches are. Do they take care of you? Are they just interested in your money? What's their accolades? Do they train good fighters? Have they got a good reputation? Have they got to look after you? Is it a good vibe in the gym? Stuff like that. So I would shop about, and just be patient. Take your time, and don't worry about it. The first time you step into a gym is quite daunting for an MMA gym. Like, all these big, ugly, tattooed fighters, guys with messed up ears, have got to batter me, not mean, but realistically, like, you'll get some of the...
Chris, you can't talk about your hand like that. You can't talk about that. And we're no eyebrows.
I don't know, man. I think you maybe get invited into some MMA gyms about Glasgow with eyebrows. So,
maybe a chance of missing a queue anyway.
So I just but most of the people in an MMA gym are actually some of the coolest guys you'll ever meet in your life. So I would just be patient and enjoy it. Just take the first step. Your first step is for your first class, and you'll probably love it. It's quite addictive, and you'll meet some cool guys, great workouts. It's good for the mental health as well, mental state. You can, if you're looking to get away from somebody, maybe, I don't know, maybe the girlfriend's thing you're not in, like a wee hour at jiu-jitsu, a wee hour at hitting the pads, hitting the bag, it does you wonders, man.
Brilliant.
Are you recommending anywhere, Chris? Because I'm wanting to get going here.
Look like Jack. See when Jack is still games, like a low centre of gravity here. That's what you look like, man. But aye, obviously Scottish hit squad in Coatbridge, man. All levels, all, like, anybody can walk in. Everybody's welcome. There's all different classes, all different levels, so beginners all the way up, and it's a great atmosphere, great coaches, and some good patter in there. I know you'll be all right in there.
That's it.
Is there a chance, Chris? Is there a chance that us three can come down? We can get some head guards on, a couple of gloves, and we can just, the 3 years, we just go at it. See who the last man standing is.
Triple threat. I'll be the ref. No bother.
No.
Excellent.
So I don't get to join in, is that what it is?
No, definitely not. You're bad.
I think we can maybe do our own fun special, I think, Scotty.
No, I'm out of that one then.
Right. Chris, what's, just before, I've got a wee finisher coming up, but a wee bit of an Instagram stalker and Twitter stalker, you know, so I've seen on your social media platforms that there could be something in the pipeline, but what's next for yourself?
So this is an exclusive. I'll give you an exclusive, right? Because I like these.
Better sit up here.
Depends when this will go out. But I'm going to be fighting in 5 weeks' time in Milan, Italy. But I can't tell you who. But that's where I'm going to be fighting. Bellator's got in Milan in Italy in 5 weeks. But, sadly, no fans, but you'll be able to watch on TV.
That's Saturday night, Chris.
Saturday night, 3rd of October.
We'll be tuned in. What time would you think it'll be on then? UK time?
I don't have a clue, but I think I'm co-main event on high up the card anyway.
Right. Okay.
So it should be good. It's got to be a good one because the guy's good that I'm fighting, so it should be a war.
Right.
So you maybe expect to see some blood.
Tremendous. Right. We've got a finisher here for you, Chris. All right. So, if you were to choose any 5, I've said dinner guests here, right, but it's probably going to be a party to celebrate a Bellator lightweight championship win, who would they be and why? For any 5 dinner guests.
So say that again. Any 5 what?
Any 5 dinner guests or party guests to celebrate a Bellator lightweight championship title.
Right, that could be anybody in the world.
Anybody. If you were to choose any 5 dinner guest to celebrate a Bellator lightweight championship, who would they be and why?
Oh, that's a good question. That must be a record, the longest I've done that without doing that, to be fair. 5. Don't know, man.
Any back?
I'll have a bash at it.
Right, man. Then.
My first one is probably my favourite comedian, which would be Bill Burr. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's a comedian. Right, Bill Burr would be the first one. Second one probably be Jimmy Bullard.
Yeah.
Aye.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I don't know. Are we getting females in the go here?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, now you're talking. I don't know. I don't want to sound like a pure creep. We'll move on, right? I don't know, man. We'll go Scott Brown, right? Scott Brown's a good laugh, man. No, Scott Brown, Bill Burr, Jimmy Bullard, Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Here we go, man. This is terrible. I'm going to come off here and then think, how did I not say them?
We're not there.
Jeez.
No MMA fighters?
Nah, man, they're all born. Go. I don't know. If I'll pick an MMA fighter, we'll go. I don't know. Matthew McConaughey.
There we go.
I like Matthew McConaughey. I think he's a good laugh.
Yeah.
I watched The Gentleman last night, so I'm like, I'll go Matthew McConaughey.
Good choice.
In fact, no, scrub that. No Matthew McConaughey. You've got to go Denzel Washington, right? Because I've always wanted to talk to him. So that's 5.
Thank you very much, Chris, for joining us again. That was brilliant.
If I picked an MMA fighter, they just want to fight me all night, you know what I mean? I just want to get a laugh and that.
Just turn into a Royal Rumble.
If I pick Conor, you end up like just try to get the pattern going with him and start fighting him or something.
Brilliant.
Thanks for having us anyway, guys.
No,
thanks very much, Chris.
Chris, thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and
Yeah,
as usual, the video will be put up on YouTube and through Twitter at Bishy PE. Thanks very much for joining us all, guys.
He's
Yes, Chris.
Take it easy.
Thank you.
Cheers, cheerio.
Cheers, mate.
Bye-bye.